Picture this. A successful businessman walks into a room. Someone smirks and says, "You think you're better than everyone now?" He pauses. For a moment, everyone expects him to defend himself, to explain why he works so much, why he changed, why he no longer attends every gathering, why he stopped answering every message. But instead, he smiles, he says nothing, and he walks away. Strangely, that silence speaks louder than any speech ever could. Now ask yourself, why do we spend so much of our lives trying to convince people who have already decided not to understand us? Why do we explain our dreams, our boundaries, our decisions to people who never intended to support them? The ancient Stoics believed that every unnecessary explanation gives away a small piece of your freedom. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in Rome, faced criticism almost every day. Yet he never wasted his life trying to make everyone approve of him, because he understood something that most people spend their entire lives learning. The more you chase understanding from others, the further you drift from understanding yourself. Today, you'll discover 10 timeless Stoic lessons that will help you stop explaining yourself, protect your peace, and quietly reclaim the confidence that no one can take away. By the end of this video, you'll begin seeing every argument, every criticism, and every awkward conversation in a completely different way. Let's begin. 1. Your life is not a courtroom. Imagine carrying an invisible backpack everywhere you go. Every time someone questions your choices, you stop, you unzip the backpack, and you pull out proof. Proof that you're working hard, proof that you're not selfish, proof that your decision makes sense, proof that you're doing your best. Now imagine carrying that weight every single day. Exhausting, isn't it? Yet millions of people live exactly like this. They feel as though they're standing in a courtroom, constantly defending their own lives. The Stoics rejected this completely. They believed your character isn't built by convincing people. It's built by living according to your values. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that people will misunderstand you no matter how carefully you explain yourself. Some people don't want clarity, they want control. And every explanation becomes another opportunity for them to question your confidence. Think about the strongest people you've ever met. Did they spend hours defending every decision, or did they simply keep moving forward? Real confidence doesn't shout, it doesn't argue, it doesn't beg to be understood. It quietly continues walking its path. The next time you feel the urge to explain yourself, pause for a moment. Ask yourself one simple question. Am I explaining because it's necessary, or because I'm afraid they won't approve? That single question can change your life. 2. Silence makes weak people uncomfortable. Have you ever noticed something strange? The moment you stop reacting, some people become even louder. Why? Because they expected your emotions to become their entertainment. Imagine throwing a stone into a lake. If the water is calm, the ripples disappear. But if the lake is already stormy, every stone creates chaos. Your mind works exactly the same way. Epictetus taught that no one can disturb your peace without your permission. That's a powerful idea, because it means your greatest strength isn't having the perfect comeback. It's deciding that no comeback is necessary. Silence isn't surrender. Silence is self-control, and self-control is rare. In today's world, everyone reacts instantly. People argue in comment sections. They fight over opinions. They defend themselves to strangers they'll never meet. The Stoics would ask a different question. Is this worth your peace? If the answer is no, walk away, not because you lost, but because your peace is worth more than winning an argument. But here's where things become even more interesting. What if constantly explaining yourself isn't just making you tired? What if it's quietly destroying the respect people have for you without you even realizing it? The next lesson reveals one mistake almost everyone makes, and once you see it, you'll never communicate the same way again. Think back to the last time you tried to prove yourself. Maybe you explained why you left a job, why you ended a relationship, why you stopped answering certain people. Maybe your explanation was honest, thoughtful, even kind. And yet, somehow, it wasn't enough. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. People who have already decided who you are rarely change their minds because of your words. They change because of what time reveals. And that's exactly where our next lesson begins. 3. Stop explaining, start becoming. Imagine planting an oak tree. The day after you plant it, someone laughs. That's never going to grow. Would you dig it up every morning just to prove the roots are there? Of course not. You trust the process. Yet when it comes to our own lives, we do the opposite. We announce our plans before we've built them. We explain our goals before we've lived them. We defend our future while we're still creating it. The Stoics believed real transformation happens quietly. Marcus Aurelius never woke up wondering how many people approved of him. He asked a different question. Did I become a little better than I was yesterday? That's the only competition that matters. Your actions carry a weight that words never can. People may doubt your discipline today, but 6 months of consistency answers every question without a single sentence. Think about the people you admire. Was it their promises that inspired you, or the life they quietly built? Your life should become your explanation, not your excuses, not your speeches, your life. 4. Approval is one of the most expensive addictions. Imagine walking through life holding a cup. Every opinion someone gives you either fills it or empties it. You did great. The cup fills. You've changed. The cup empties. I'm disappointed in you. The cup empties even more. Now your happiness belongs to everyone except you. This is exactly the trap Seneca warned about. When your peace depends on applause, you're no longer free. Most people don't even realize they're addicted to approval. They check for validation before making decisions. They soften their opinions so everyone stays comfortable. They apologize for taking up space. They explain themselves, not because they owe anyone an explanation, but because silence feels frightening. Here's the irony. The more desperately you seek approval, the less people respect your confidence. Confidence isn't asking, "Do you like my decision?" Confidence says, "I've thought carefully about this, and I'm willing to live with the outcome." That's what freedom sounds like. A young sculptor spent years carving a statue. When he finally revealed it, some people admired it, others mocked it. For weeks, he couldn't sleep. He wanted everyone to understand the meaning behind his work. Then, an older artist smiled and said, "If you spend your life explaining your art, you'll never have time to create your next masterpiece." Those words changed everything. The sculptor stopped defending his work. He simply kept creating. Years later, the same people who laughed were standing in line to admire what he built. His explanations never changed their minds. His consistency did. Your life works the same way. 5. You cannot control other people's stories about you. Every person you meet creates a version of you inside their own mind. To one person, you're inspiring. To another, you're intimidating. To someone else, you're selfish. And to someone you've never even spoken to, you're simply a rumor. Now ask yourself, which version are you supposed to spend your life defending? You can't, because none of them are truly under your control. Epictetus taught that peace begins the moment you separate what belongs to you from what belongs to others. Your character belongs to you. Their opinions belong to them. Once you understand this, an incredible weight disappears from your shoulders. You stop chasing every misunderstanding. You stop correcting every rumor. You stop wasting emotional energy trying to edit someone else's imagination. Because no matter how clearly you explain yourself, someone determined to misunderstand you always will. And that's okay. Your responsibility isn't to control the story people tell. Your responsibility is to keep writing your own. But here's where Stoicism becomes truly powerful. Even after you stop explaining yourself, People won't stop testing you. Some will question your boundaries. Some will challenge your patience. Some will push harder than ever before. So how do truly powerful people respond? Without becoming cold, without becoming angry, and without losing themselves. The next lessons reveal exactly how the Stoics mastered that challenge. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm. The wind is loud, the rain is relentless, everything around you is trying to pull you off balance. Now imagine there's a mountain beside you. The storm hits it with the same force. Yet the mountain doesn't argue with the wind. It doesn't complain to the rain. It simply stands. That is the kind of strength the Stoics wanted us to build, not the strength to win every argument, but the strength to remain unshaken by them. 6. Boundaries don't need a long explanation. One of the hardest words in the English language isn't success. It isn't discipline. It's a simple two-letter word, no. For many people, saying no feels uncomfortable, so instead, they create long explanations. I'm sorry, but I'm really busy. I wish I could, maybe another time, because they hope that if they explain enough, nobody will be disappointed. But here's what usually happens. The more you explain, the more people negotiate. They question your reasons. They search for exceptions. They try to change your mind. The Stoics understood something timeless. A healthy boundary doesn't become stronger because it's explained longer. It becomes stronger because it's respected. Marcus Aurelius knew he couldn't lead an empire while trying to please every person. He accepted a simple truth. Every meaningful decision will disappoint someone, and that's okay, because every time you say yes to everyone else, you may be saying no to your own peace. So the next time you need a boundary, say it calmly, say it respectfully, then let silence finish the sentence. 7. Emotional control is the highest form of power. Have you ever noticed how some people seem determined to provoke a reaction? They criticize, they interrupt, they mock, not because they're searching for truth, but because they're searching for control. Here's the secret. The person who controls your emotions controls you. The Stoics refused to hand over that power. Epictetus compared life to a stage. You don't choose every scene, you don't choose every actor, but you always choose how you perform your role. Imagine someone insulting you. Most people react instantly. Their heartbeat rises, their voice changes, their emotions take over. But a Stoic pauses, not because they have nothing to say, but because they refuse to let someone else decide how they feel. That pause is where true strength lives. Anyone can react. Very few can respond with wisdom. And in today's noisy world, calmness has become a rare form of confidence. There's an old story about a philosopher who was publicly insulted by an angry man. The crowd waited for an argument. Instead, the philosopher smiled gently and continued walking. A student later asked, "Why didn't you defend yourself?" The philosopher replied, "If someone tries to hand you a gift and you refuse to accept it, who does the gift belong to?" "The person offering it," the student answered. "Exactly," the philosopher said. "The same is true for anger." That lesson still matters today. Not every insult deserves a response. Not every opinion deserves your attention. Sometimes the strongest answer is your peace. Now we've reached a lesson that separates ordinary people from truly exceptional ones. Because anyone can stay calm for one day. Anyone can ignore one criticism. But how do you stay confident when people doubt you for months or even years? The answer isn't louder words. It's something far more powerful. Let's discover it next. Have you ever noticed something strange? The people who doubted you the most rarely apologize when they realize they were wrong. They simply become quiet, not because your words convinced them, but because time did. The Stoics understood that truth has a patient voice. It doesn't rush, it doesn't panic, it simply waits. And that's exactly what our next lesson is about. 8. Let time become your greatest ally. Think about a seed buried beneath the ground. If you looked at it after one day, you might believe nothing was happening. After 1 week, still nothing, but beneath the surface, roots are growing where no one can see them. Your life works the same way. When you begin changing, don't expect instant respect. People remember who you used to be, not who you're becoming. Some will laugh. Some will question your decisions. Some will even say you've changed for the worse. The easy response is to defend yourself. The Stoic response is different. Keep growing. Marcus Aurelius didn't waste his days chasing people's opinions. He focused on becoming a better man every single day. Eventually, reality speaks louder than any explanation ever could. If your habits improve, if your character becomes stronger, if your actions remain consistent, time will tell your story better than words ever can. So stop rushing to prove yourself. Let your future introduce you. Imagine two friends starting their careers. The first spends every conversation talking about the success that's coming. He tells everyone about his plans, his ambitions, his dreams. The second says very little. Instead, he works quietly. Months pass, then years. One day, the first man is still explaining what he's about to do. The second no longer needs to explain anything. His life tells the story for him. The difference wasn't talent. It wasn't luck. It was consistency. Remember this: people may ignore your words, but they cannot ignore your results forever. 9. Protect your energy like it's your greatest wealth. Imagine waking up every morning with only 10 coins, not money, energy. Every conversation costs 1 coin. Every unnecessary argument costs another. Every attempt to convince someone who refuses to listen costs even more. By the end of the day, most people have spent all 10 coins, and almost none of them were invested in their own future. The Stoics treated attention as one of life's most valuable resources, because where your attention goes, your life follows. If you spend your best energy proving yourself, you won't have enough left to improve yourself. Ask yourself honestly, how many hours have you lost replaying arguments in your head? How many nights have you stayed awake wondering what someone thinks about you? Now imagine investing that same energy into learning, building, reading, creating, exercising, or simply enjoying the people who truly care about you. Your future changes the moment your energy changes direction. Protect it. Not everyone deserves access to your mind. We've reached the final lesson, and in many ways, it's the lesson every Stoic philosopher spent a lifetime trying to master. Because once you understand this, you'll stop feeling the need to explain yourself forever. Let's finish with the most powerful lesson of all. Imagine waking up tomorrow, and for the first time in years, you no longer feel the need to prove who you are. No long explanations, no defending your choices, no chasing approval. Just a quiet confidence that comes from knowing exactly who you are. That is the kind of freedom the Stoics spent their lives pursuing. And it all comes down to one final lesson. 10. Let your life become your explanation. Imagine 2 candles in a dark room. The first candle keeps shouting, "Look how bright I am. Believe me, trust me." The second candle says nothing. It simply burns. Which one lights the room? The second one. Because light never argues. It simply shines. This is how the Stoics believed a meaningful life should be lived. Marcus Aurelius never tried to convince history that he was a great leader. He focused on becoming one. Seneca didn't waste his life trying to appear wise. He practiced wisdom. Epictetus didn't ask the world to respect him. He respected himself first. That's the pattern they all shared. They didn't build their lives around opinions. They built them around principles. Think about your own life. How much energy have you spent trying to explain yourself to people who had already made up their minds? How many dreams were delayed because you wanted everyone to understand them first? How many opportunities slipped away while you were waiting for permission that was never yours to seek? Here's a truth that changed my perspective forever. The people who matter don't need constant explanations. and the people who demand endless explanations often wouldn't be satisfied anyway. Your responsibility is not to manage everyone's opinion. Your responsibility is to manage your own character. When your values are clear, your decisions become clear. When your decisions become clear, your confidence becomes unshakable. And when your confidence becomes unshakable, you stop explaining, because your life begins speaking louder than your words ever could. There is an old image that perfectly captures this idea. Picture an ancient lighthouse standing alone on a rocky coastline. Day after day, storm after storm, year after year. The lighthouse never chases the ships. It never shouts across the ocean. It never begs anyone to notice its light. It simply stands where it was built to stand, and because it remains faithful to its purpose. Ships find their way home. Your life should be like that lighthouse. Don't spend your days chasing people who refuse to understand you. Don't exhaust yourself trying to convince everyone you're worthy. Stand firmly in your values. Keep improving yourself. Keep your word. Stay disciplined when no one is watching. Stay kind when it's difficult. Stay humble when success arrives. Over time, your consistency will become your reputation. Your character will become your voice. And your actions will become the explanation you never needed to give. The next time someone questions your choices, pause, take a slow breath. Then remember these 10 Stoic lessons. You don't have to win every argument. You don't have to answer every criticism. You don't have to explain every decision, because your peace is more valuable than proving a point. Your future is more important than someone else's opinion, and your character will always outlast every misunderstanding. So from this day forward, walk your path with quiet confidence, build instead of boasting, act instead of arguing, grow instead of proving. And remember this powerful Stoic truth: the strongest people in the world aren't the ones who always have the perfect answer. They're the ones who no longer need to explain themselves.